Hi, and welcome to Improving Your Imaginative Drawing. This is, drawing from your imagination, drawing out of stuff out of your head. And I'm here to give you some tips on how to improve those things by drawing over somebody else's drawing and showing you how I would plus things up. Hi, my name is Luis Escobar. I'm a storyboard artist on the Simpsons television show. I've been working on the show for over 20 years now. I've been trading emails with Ken. Ken wants to improve his art. So what he asked me to do is he asked me to look over some of his drawings so that I could give him some tips on how to improve them. And I thought that I would share my tips that I'm going to give him with you because I think that for the most part, most people tend to have about the same types of problems when they are trying to improve. So I thought that it would be ideal for me just simply to go over his work. And you can see by going over his work how you can improve your own work, because a lot of the time my advice is pretty much universal for just about everybody. I tell them often about the same things. So today I'm going to go over his drawings here, beginning with this. So he sent me two drawings. I'm going to split up the video into two just so that I can catch both of his drawings and give you tips on both. One's going to be more on foreshortening. The other one is going to be a little bit more anatomical and about solidity. So let's begin with this. So this is the first drawing that he sent me. He sent me this drawing here that I've got, and this drawing is very good. And I just wanted to let you know that one of the things that I'm going to be going over here is his foreshortening and a little bit more of his solidity. But I have to say that it's not really too bad what's going on here. What I like is that he is thinking about here the solidity of the head. I like that he has attempted to study the anatomy. So you've got, the correct amount of abdominal muscles. He's actually thinking about these muscles here. The pecs are working. He's even got a small stretch here. He's thinking about the foreshortening in shapes, which is really solid. This hand is fairly well done considering. There is a certain amount of a very there's an awareness of the forms and the muscles and how they work, and I think this is very, very good. However, I could still plus this up. There's still more that he needs to get to the next level, and I think this is a really good foundation already. So let's take a look at how we can plus this drawing up and help him get better. So let me reduce the opacity on this drawing here so I could go over it. Okay, so to begin with, I want to go over the torso and I want to go over the head. So actually, you know what? Before I do, I'm going to recommend two books. This book, Bridgman's book, I think I talk about this a lot, but Bridgman's book, if you don't have it, you ought to. But then there's another book that I recommend. In fact, I recommend it. I recommend this book, and I've actually talked about it in previous videos. I haven't made a video just about this book, but I sort of did. However, I also recommend this book here, which is Figure Drawing, Design, and Invention. If you want to watch the reasons why I recommend this book, go ahead. I'll put the link in the description of this video so that you can see why I recommend this book as well. But there's a lot of really good anatomy things in here so that you can get more solid anatomy understanding. All right, so I recommend getting this book as well. I don't have this book with me at the moment because I left it at work, but this is a book that I highly recommend you pick up if you're going to learn to draw better. In the drawing website, there's going to be, as of the time of this recording, I haven't actually posted it, but in the future it'll probably just be there. There's going to be a lesson on torsos where I go over two types of torsos, the bean and the bullet. These are my default torso formulas in order to get a very solid torso. So I'm going to right now use the bullet and show you what I mean. When the lesson is up on my site, I'm going to have a link in the description of this video linking to that lesson. However, at the moment, as of the time of this video recording, it's not there, but it will be in the future, so make sure to check the description for that link. Okay, so I'm going to go over the torso here using the bullet formula. So the bullet is exactly what it's in the shape of a bullet. So like the top of the torso is the top of the bullet. So this is what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to create this shape. It's like a bullet pointing down like this. It's like this. And the reason and what this is this is the entire torso. Here's the ribs in here. And this bottom here is the bottom of the abdominals, and then down here would be the crotch area, and about here you could create a skirt shape. And these are the hips, okay? So this is the formula that I'm going to be using to create, to solidify this torso. And what happens is then you could add the muscles, the lats and the pecs, etc. But for now, let's just create the bullet shape. And this is what I would recommend. This bullet shape, like I said, will be spoken about in a lesson in the drawing website. However, this is not my own invention. Steve Houston is the figure drawing teacher that made me become aware of this shape. He used it in his figure drawing classes. Steve Houston also has a book. I will link to the video with his book. He has pictures of this shape in there, but he doesn't explain it, which I think it's really odd that he doesn't explain his bullet shape formula as well as I'm going to in my lesson, which is a little frustrating because I really wanted to just go, yeah, this is the definitive formula. All right, so if you notice, what I've done here is this is around the area where I'm going to put the pecs because that's where he has them. I gave the chest a direction. I could even, in fact, it would be even better if I was to push this even more. So that solidifies it. Now what I'm going to do is around here. I'm gonna create the line for the shoulders. I'm gonna give it a slant here, and this is where I'm going to put the pit of the neck. So this is where I'm going to put the pit of the neck right here. Usually what you do with when you're creating the bullet is you put the pit of the neck up here at the very top. I overextended right here, so I'm making an adjustment. Really, it would probably be something like this then. So the pit of the neck, I'm going to put right here. It's just going to be a dot as a signal for myself, and it helps when creating the shoulders, these shoulder blades around here. Your body tends to move up and down and rotate around. This I like to put a line here just as a guide. And around here, around the pit of the neck, is where I would put the neck. And the neck I would just create as a big tube for now. And I will deal with the head in a second. But what I am going to do with the head at this moment is kind of make it boxy, just to give it some dimension. In fact, actually, you know what? This is wrong. I'm seeing too much of the side of the face, and he wants this to be more facing forward. So it would probably be a better idea to just follow a little bit closer his drawing here. You don't want to see too much of the side of the face, or else it's going to look odd. It's going to look like he's got way too much side. You don't want this going on when you want to turn the box over a little bit more. You see less of the box. And that's what this is. It's helpful to think of the head as boxy, and then look and try to adjust the side of the head as if it's a box. Okay, so now we've got the torso, we've got the head, and the head again. I think it's really smart to just have the eye line here just to give you a guide as to he did a really good job about that, so I'm going to keep that there because I liked what he did there. Okay, so this is where it starts to get a little bit trickier. The muscles, the pectoral muscles, they stretch out. So I've got my bottom of the pecs line down here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fake the pecs here. I'm going to use these lines, his ruff here, to show you where the corner of the clavicle meets the scapula up here. There's like this bony area back here. And the pecs actually connect like underneath the arm bone. It connects into the bone of the arm in here somewhere. Let's just fake it for now. For the sake of simplicity, have the pecs go to the top of the clavicle here. It's not a perfect solution, but it'll help for now. Now, what I tend to like to do is I like to, once I've got at least this much figured out, I like to add a rhythm that comes in and around here, and it comes up like this, and from about here-ish, there's kind of like a little triangle here. I like to create a rhythm that comes up like this. And what this does is it simulates the actual shoulder pad connecting arm, because the pecs connect up to here into the upper arm muscles here. The shoulder muscles. It just comes in right in here. Now, he did something really like with all these overlapping shapes. What we want to do is to show you, I want to follow his example, and I'm going to create a tube because it's easier to break down an arm into a tube. But because the tube is not straight and it's coming in to us in space, it would have to be a tube that looks like it's coming in perspective in space like this. So that means that whatever is back here is going to be smaller than what's up here. So if anything, perhaps the hand might be even bigger. So I'm creating this tube off of this rhythm of the shoulder. However, the tube shouldn't, because we are watery beings, we tend not to be very solid as far as we're not made out of wood. So when you look at an arm, it's very rhythmical. It's full of a lot of rhythms. So we got these rhythms coming in here, these rhythms coming in here. So these are very exaggerated, but I think you understand what I mean. So what I tend to like to do is to simplify the arm so that it just follows at least one rhythm at first. And that's what I'm going to do here. I'm just going to give it a rhythm, one simple rhythm that goes in this way so that it's not completely straight. It's a little bit like a flowy wave. So it goes in here this way, and then there's this rhythm here. So this comes in this way. We've got this rhythm, and we got this rhythm coming up this way. And instead of just leaving this tube hanging, I'm just going to connect it in here because that's how arms work. And then you put in the lats. The lats could probably follow kind of flow in and out of these forms here. And then the other shoulder we connect rhythmically here. And again, we do the same thing with this shoulder. We want to connect here these pecs to the shoulder muscles here. And then we'll just add a tube, a soft, watery tube. Is this what I want? Let's try this way. And give it a clear corner. No, I don't like that. Maybe I'll give it a corner here. That's better. Now notice I just guessed at where the elbow would be. But you could look at yourself and see where your elbow goes, somewhere around your belly button maybe. Above your belly button. And if that's the belly button right here. Okay, so now we've got this rhythm here, we've got these rhythms here, and what we want is to make this more of a teardrop shape, because when pecs get stretched, they become like a teardrop. Everything gets pulled in here. And now we've got the hand. Now everything here is running out of paper. So let's reduce this. We want to get the whole hand in there. It's a good idea to make the hand boxy. Now, because I don't, hands are incredibly difficult, and I most of the time when I'm drawing a hand, I use my own hand to look at how it looks like, because they're very tricky to draw. So just look at your hand and try to capture. The Bridgman book has really good hand drawing formulas. This here, what I'm doing here is I'm drawing this area here on my hand. How it's up here. There's kind of like straight compared to this that goes down further. That's what I'm simulating there. Let me get rid of these. So with the hand, I'm going to draw a gesture, and I like to draw myself some guidelines because there's a rhythm, there's an arc to your fingers when they're open like this. Well, there's an arc to fingers, period. So I like to give myself a guide to the arc. Everybody has hands, and like I said, they're very, very difficult to draw because they have to be broken down into a lot of small, solid shapes. And not only that, but then because we're watery beings, because we're so organic, it's difficult to simply the hand moves around so much and has its own ability to see, because I'm breaking this hand down into this box, but it's not really it's a box that does things, and it's so flexible that even attempting to simplify a hand gets tricky. And on top of that, each and every finger is not exactly boxy, and they're soft, but they're not exactly tubular. They tend to be something a little bit more like this kind of shape, and then there's kind of a corner here, and on top of that, they move around and bend and stuff. It gets really tricky. So what I tend to like to do with hands is to try to find like a corner on all the fingers, even if there isn't any. And on top of that, like all these finger breaks don't line up. They still have that arc. So the finger breaks need to have the arc. And on top of that, this finger break is bigger than this finger break, which is bigger than this finger break. So they slowly get smaller, these breaks. And I've seen people create formulas for the breaks. Like they say this break must be this half of this other break, and all that. But it's good rule. It's a good rule of thumb. It's a good, interesting formula if it helps. I tend to just eyeball it. And then the nipple would be stretched out if the whole pec is stretched out. Okay, so now we're talking about this shoulder muscle here. So the pecs go into this shoulder muscle, and then we've got the bicep that bulges out. Now, if you're having trouble, like I'm having trouble right now, because I can't imagine this very well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the Bridgman book and take a good look at it and see if I can't solve this problem. Ideally, what you want is to find some kind of reference to help you figure this out. Or you could look at the Bridgman book, but ideally it's better to look for a reference. So you know what I'm going to do actually? Before I look at the Bridgman book, I'm going to search the internet. I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to search the internet, see if I could find a good shot of a muscle, shoulder muscle, so that I can see what it looks like in real life, because in the end, you want it to look natural rather than made up. Okay. All right, through the magic of editing, I've done my research and I've downloaded a few muscle men drawings, photos that I hope will be helpful. So for starters, I've got these over here. Look at this arm here. I've got this one here. That one's pretty close. Got that one. That one's pretty close. That one. And that one. All right, so let me just take these and figure this out. Let's do something that's a little bit... Well, none of these are quite right. But I think it's enough to go on. So we see that this is an overlapping shape here. We have this muscle here. And if we're going to do this, we want this corner here to be like that. I'm going to run out of space here. This is very helpful. I think we could do without, and then this comes up here like this. We know that this is happening back here because we're looking at it there. This is going to be boxy compared to this ball here. Notice how every single one of these guys has shaped their body very different. So it's not an absolute. There is an inconsistency in all of these guys' bodies. Some of these guys are bigger, smaller, thinner, like they've worked their muscles in different ways. And it's helpful to actually look at real men and real muscles. So now we know also that there's like there's a thickness to all these pecs. We couldn't find the perfect reference for this, but that's okay. We'll just leave this as a shape because I don't feel like having to break this down even more for now. Now, let's take out the Bridgman book. See how we could best break these things down. In Bridgman's book, and then in what we can see here, Bridgman also, wants to break these things down into these really interesting, like, blocky shapes. But then he also notices that this stuff kind of radiates when you go in there. And does this. And when you look at the actual guy's ribs, they rib cage area, they do that. So let's take a look at some of this reference and some of the way that Bridgman breaks it up, and do a combination of both. So we've got the Bridgman breakdown. We want to space this out a bit. Notice that there's a definitive line here with the lats. There's like a line, and we could often use this bullet shaped line to make that differentiation there. It's a simplification of what we're seeing here going on here. The abdominal muscles tend to also have a shape. I think it's something like this. I'm breaking these up into 1, 2, 3. We need to break down into 1, 2, 3. So it's like this, like this. Actually, so these are kind of three-dimensional here too. got this muscle mass right here, as you can see right here. So I've got the Bridgman book out, just checking out with the actual reference what all these muscles are actually doing. And okay. Overlap here. So this is how I would go about doing this. This is a simplification of this arm, but you wouldn't really see too much of what's going on here. Maybe you'll see a little bit of the bicep would be here, but it's getting overlapped by the top of the forearm here, and it's generally getting covered up, and then this thumb is covering everything up. So this is really a rough drawing, but you can see that there's a lot to this already. So there's a lot more to this. You have to really work this out even more, because once you've got this down, then you can start building the final on top of this. So I would like, if this is analog, because this is a drawing on a piece of paper, I would get another sheet of paper, for example, a piece of tracing paper, or if you have a light box, use a regular piece of paper on top of a light box. But if you don't, the tracing paper is fine. Then you would draw another, you put another sheet of paper on top of your drawing, and you do a final version of it. So you'd reduce the opacity if you're doing it digitally. And then you would draw a final drawing on top. But this is what I would do with this. So let's take a look at the original. So this is what we started off with, and this is what I ended up drawing on top of it. It's a lot more solid. There's a lot more going on here. I use more reference. I had my Muscle Man reference here so that I could also understand what I'm drawing to get it more accurate. I had my Bridgman book. I took a look at it and I tried to like break it down to see how he does it. I look at the reference to see where the muscles actually work and how they work. See, because there's like this extra there's these extra muscles, how they interlock here. Okay, so I put those in there based off of what Bridgman had originally done. The Bridgman formula, the way he broke it down, very helpful. And just adjust and adjust and adjust, and then on top of that I would get another piece of paper if you wanted a bit more of a final drawing, and I would tighten this up a little bit more, give it a more final look. But this is the solidity on top of the original drawing, which was this. Okay, so that's what I would do with this. I will now tackle the next drawing in the next video, so I could show you how I would tackle something else. But this is the full foreshortening and the way I would do this particular drawing. Okay, and I would usually try to find it's a combination of finding reference. It's a little bit of combination of finding, doing known formulas that work, using anatomy books. I didn't have all the answers in the Bridgman book. I probably would have looked at I would have looked at some of the tips and formulas in the other book that I talked about, the Imaginative Figurative book, because it would probably give me other suggestions. But this is how I would go about doing it, and I hope this has been helpful to you, and I will see you in the next video. If you found this video valuable, I would like to encourage you to return value for value by becoming one of my patrons over on Patreon. Not only will you encourage me to continue making informative videos that are useful to you, but you get extra perks too. For only a small investment of $1 a month, you can get all new videos I create months before anyone else gets to see it. Also, if you have any questions you'd like me to answer as a patron, you get priority and I answer your questions first. On top of that, when you're a patron at any level, you become part of a raffle where I send original art via mail to the winner of that month. The higher your tier, the better your opportunity to win. Higher tier patrons also get access to any art I do in high-res JPEGs, and also full access to PSD files to any work I do, including the PSD files of these videos. Currently, there's a huge backlog of downloadable files you can get, so right away you're going to get quite a lot of bang for your buck. And the more patrons I get, the better these videos will get. The more content I can produce. In other words, the more you benefit. Please consider becoming a patron. Thanks. The link to my Patreon is on the screen and in the description of this video. Okay, bye.